Alright, hello everyone, my name is Adam. You guys may know me as Noir or nxire, whatever you want to call me. You may know me from my other channel. And today I'm going to be doing a video breakdown tutorial, essentially, what Genius does on the video, on the collaboration between myself and theskybeats. First thing you'll notice is that this is an absolutely monstrous track, okay? So there's 65 tracks on this file right here, so this was crazy hard to mix because the CPU was just so incredibly high. This right here, the intro part, is essentially what theskybeats sent me, so that was already done, and I created essentially the A and B part of the track. So I'm just going to start top to bottom with the drums, let you guys listen to what's going on. So the hi-hats, I was just sort of random with all of that. I have two different hi-hats, one Astroworld, one Wonder Girl hi-hats going on. And I also have a crash right here. Now I put the crash there so that the transition from the intro section to the A section would be a bit smoother. Next I added a snare. Now, the snare is actually 3 snares layered on top of one another, so I have actually 1 clap and 2 snares layered on top of one another, heavily compressed, heavily saturated in order to fit into the mix. And then I added a backup snare. Next I added a clap. And finally, I added a perk. Just a little rim. Now for the transition to drop a lot harder, I added 2 different Vox with 2 different Vox samples with a lot of reverb on top of them. Now the kick and the 808 were sort of sporadically just fitting in with the drums on top, so I'll let you just hear what those sound like all together. So the kick, I believe, is actually a sample from Travis Scott's song Sweet on the album Birds in the Trap. All I did was add 2 little resonance frequencies towards the lower end, and I cut off everything above about 13,000 and boosted around 6,000 to 7,000, where a lot of the boost frequencies, a lot of the bounce frequencies on kicks usually are. Then I have the 808 underneath. I was essentially looking for the most gritty, most nasty 808 sample I could find. And I just distorted it even more with this decapitator saturation plugin on top of it. To make the kick sound as bouncy as I did, I had to add a pitch envelope on top of it, which is something I saw Metro Boomin does in a lot of his songs to get extra bounce out of his 808s. It's just add a pitch envelope, and I added about +6 pitch envelope, a decay of about 300, and a release of about 50. So very short. You barely even hear the pitch envelope. You can feel the pitch envelope though. So if I get rid of the sidechain compression over here, which the kick is running through, and now I take away the pitch envelope, add it again. It's very, very subtle, but it makes a small difference, and it's all the small differences that add up to make one big difference. Now for the second part of the beat, I just switched up all of the sample. I switched up a lot of the patterns, and I added a shaker on top to give it even more rhythm. It's so set far back that you can barely even hear it, but it gives the track a perceived sense. It gives the track a perceived sense of extra bounce. yeah, for the second part, I just drew out all of the 808 samples instead of cutting them off. See here, the 808's cut off. Here, it's going long. So that bass sample you hear on top of everything is the actual intro bass sample. But I just took it, duplicated the track, put an effect on it, RC20, it's called Gazing Guitar, and I cut everything at 185 Hertz. I believe the hi-hat pattern stayed about the same. The only thing I really switched up here was some of the perk patterns. So this clap comes in. So for the melody, if we come to the melody section, all of the intro melodies were given to me by theskybeats. So I just rewrote them in a MIDI file and put them through Omnisphere, and I found this wires synth. Sounded super gritty, sort of tactile, sort of rustic. So I like that, and I just paired that up with these stabs going on, which you hear in a lot of Metro Boomin's old production, as well as in, I believe, that song Upper Echelon with Travis Scott and T.I. I layered the stabs with even more stabs at the bottom. Just to make it feel like a splash sound. But then the one thing you hear throughout the track continuously is this synth right here. So these are the exact same chords, but all I did was group like 4 of them together, put them in a group, and then I took off and I put this tremolator on. So this is what they sound like without the tremolator. And with the tremolator, so heavy effects. As you can see, I'm running about 4 of those synths, each on different octaves. So one's, I believe, mid, one's high, one's lower, and then I have a compressor, another compressor, a tremolator, saturation, ensemble, more saturation, another compressor, this is delay right here, and then I have chorus right here, as well as a filter freak and an imager finally. So heavy effects, and this ran up my CPU load big time. Then we get to the second part here. I added a bunch of bells. Added like a traditional bell sound. And I added a saw stack right here. And then I got these guitars from Omnisphere. I needed to create more build-up, so I added another Omnisphere synth on top of everything. So that part together sounds like this. adjusting in this B section here, the sort of breakdown section, which has the bass that was at the beginning, but this time what I did is I took the bass, I duplicated it, and I put a filter freak on top of it. I believe it's on like a slow hole setting. It sounds like it's phasing. And then I traded that one off for an analog basic synth right here when the synths come in. So just crazy amounts of build up all the time. We're always building up to something. It sounds like you're on the precipice of greatness or something like that. Now, the one thing I wanted to add during this section were these crazy Godzilla drums. I just got this plugin the other day. I forget what it's called, but it gives you all sorts of crazy drums that you can just download. Heavy amounts of drums, like 11 gigabytes of drums. They sound like orchestral drums a lot of the time. A lot of time they sound like ethnic drums. This is what they sound like. Like crazy hits. Now the Skybeats added all of these vocal samples at the beginning. So I just was like, alright, if that's the theme going forward, let's get more of these vocal samples. Went over to Splice and I found some. Added delay, added reverbs, added effects, added distortion. So from there on, the beat just essentially repeats itself. And the beat was super eccentric, super hard-hitting, super forward, and then I knew for the outro section, I needed to give it some sort of resolve, some sort of happy ending. So what I did was I took the bells from the initial section, which sound here in conjunction with everything else like aggressive. And then I copy-pasted them over here and reduced them in volume. Added a little loop underneath. Added the analog bass right here, and then what I did was I extended the outro one more time, took away the bells, added the guitar, and switched up the bass pattern one more time. Okay, and that's basically the entire track in a nutshell. This took us long amounts of time. I made a mistake initially by rendering it at 44,100 hertz instead of 48,000, so we had to re-render the entire project. If you guys want to see more breakdown videos like this in the future, you know, expect these videos to get better in quality. I want to make them. I want to get better at this because this is fun, and you know, I have nothing else to do in my free time besides for studying, so this is a great outlet. Also, if you guys want to see tutorials on mixing, you know, what am I doing to make my kick sound the way it sounds? What am I doing to make my 808s sound the way they sound? Should you be mastering your beats? Should you be mixing your beats? You know, how do I create consistent quality in my beats? How do I create process and setup? And how do I use those to create standardization? What's my content library? Where am I getting my content library? Where am I getting my drum kits from? You know, there's so many questions when it comes to producing. Even simple things on the kick, like what EQ should I be using? Where should I be increasing the frequencies and decreasing the frequencies? You know, I could do a whole video on just kicks alone, just 808s alone, and teach you guys the right and the wrong way of mixing your kicks, because there's so many ways I see producers doing it. There's so many ways you can do it the right way and so many ways you can do it the wrong way. And more than often I see producers doing it the wrong way. So definitely be sure to subscribe. Know the quality of this channel is just going to get better over time. Drop a like, you know, all of the standard YouTube nonsense, and look forward to more videos. Thanks for watching, everyone, and peace out.